you low-key have to be cringe to make progress. Here's what I mean. I think a lot of people, like a big superpower that I see almost all the successful people in my school at least, is like they're low-key kind of cringe. Like it's usually the kids that are willing to like, raise their hand and look like an idiot in front of the professor that are the ones that are probably getting the highest scores. And I had to like kind of swallow my pride and do that as well, especially in school. Of course, I don't exactly know how it translates to everything else because obviously I didn't do it yet, but I assume it's the same thing. That's kind of like, the motivation behind making these types of videos because like, yeah, dude, they're kind of cringe. Like, I'm talking to a virtual version of like I'm just looking at myself talking like that's how weird this is. But hopefully someone can watch this and take away the fact that you have to be some level of cringe in order to make progress. You have to kind of, be okay with making a fool of yourself because like, dude, it's gonna happen with anything, right? Like when you're learning it something, you're gonna be like really stupid. Even with like talking to people or like talking and making new friends, it's just like you're gonna like look like an idiot a lot of the time, and that's like totally chill, I think, because no one at the level of what you want in any endeavor is gonna make fun of you for trying. So the people that are calling you cringe are usually the people that aren't in that category. What I mean by that is like if you go to like any like super like high achieving student and you tell them, oh, like I went to office hours to like, I don't know, learn this concept, or I didn't really get it, so like whatever, like I think very few of those students that are actually like very high performing are gonna like look at you and be like, what an idiot, like why did he go to office hours, like why didn't he just learn it himself, right? Like most of them are gonna be pretty chill with it, and they're gonna be like, okay, that makes sense, like if you got it, good enough. But I think the reverse side of that is a lot of the kids that don't or aren't necessarily getting like the best grades will look at you and be like, yeah, like that's fucking stupid, like why would you ever do that, that's a waste of time. I just sit here with my chat GPT or my Gemini or whatever, and I just plug it in and boom, answer. Like why do you need to go, right? Which, I mean, to specifically tackle that point, like, dude, like, it's just about how well you do on the exam. It's not necessarily about like the method of finishing your homework, right? Anyone can finish the homework. It's about, making sure you actually get a good grade on the exam, get a good grade on the GPA. Speaking on that, like, I think for a long time, a lot of people thought it was like sort of cringe, like just in general, to like prioritize college, prioritize education. I definitely see that on YouTube, like with the business stuff. And I think that's kind of misleading because that like look at a lot of the people that are successful, like high key, a lot of them have college educations, a lot of them like dropped out of school or they did school and then they went to something else. Like it's just like the general like route and trajectory. But I think more realistically, it's like if they had the caliber to do school, they probably have the caliber to do something else. Yes, school isn't the best way to do it, but if they did have the caliber to do it in school, like if they were like a dropout, there's a high chance that they probably don't have the caliber to do it in like whatever other field it is. So like at that point, it's kind of like, there's no point. And I remember like even in my high school, like my college counselor was like, yeah, you don't need to go to an out-of-state school, like you don't need to do this, just go to an in-state school, like keep your tuition low and whatever. But like if you're playing the game, you might as well play to win, right? Like why would you play for like 5th place? That doesn't make any sense to me. I think like if you're anyway gonna go to college, you might as well maximize like the best college possible. Now, yes, sometimes, financial situations, you can't always pay for your tuition, but if you can, I really do think that that's the best thing that you can do. But for, people just like casually watching this video, I think the takeaway that I really had is like, dude, put yourself out there, especially in college. Like a lot of people are like, oh, like college is a place to like find your people and like this and that and whatever. And like, dude, like if you don't put yourself out there, like that shit is just not gonna happen. Like including like with, like for example, like a lot of people are applying to jobs or internships and stuff like that. Like the only way that you can you can get an internship is if you go and get like 1,000 rejections. Like you have to just apply and be okay with getting rejected, and like that's totally chill. But you have to be willing to make that sacrifice, right? Like you can't just be okay with sitting and like accepting the fact that like it's stupid, right? Like, and that's what really gets me about people like in the news and just people in general that are constantly complaining about the state of things, right? Like, oh, the job market's cooked, or oh, like the world is gonna get fucked over. Like, sure, even if we assume for a second that is true, I don't think it serves you or your like mental model by believing in that. Like I think it's just so much more beneficial, especially for me, to kind of just like ignore that stuff, because if it's really that important, it will be brought to your attention in some other medium or way. Like someone will like come and tell you like, yo, like this is happening. Like it might be selfish to think like, you know, let someone else do that work for me, but I think that's fine. I think that's okay, because they're gonna do it anyway. So like you might as well take advantage of it and like keep your brain clean, right? Keep your brain locked into whatever you're trying to do. And yeah, just making sure that you really work on that stuff, because like I don't know, I think it's kind of dumb, right? Because if you're always worrying about what's cringe and all this stuff, like if you don't put yourself out there, like you will never know like what your actual ability is. Like you won't know what the limit is, because sometimes what happens, right, is someone will say it's cringe, you'll do it anyway, and then you just get fucking put into the ground, right? Because either A, it was like really super cringe, or B, like it just didn't work out for you. And people see that as like a negative thing, but I don't think that's necessarily true, because A, it will either show you the limit of where you can actually go, or B, at least you put yourself out there, right? You can go to sleep like peacefully knowing that you at least tried. If you didn't try, then you're always going to be stuck in this like what if world, right? Like, for example, if I'm making a video like this and I'm like, oh, whatever, like I'm overthinking what the video should be about, or I'm overthinking like the exact script, like that's why I just press record and I just like, you know, say whatever I feel like saying. Like there's a lot of places where I could cut this like really nicely and make it look super neat, but I probably won't, because I'm just gonna put it out there, see what happens, and then sort of iterate and adjust, rather than thinking and getting stuck into that process. Because if I get stuck into that, then at least I never like actually, you know, just make the damn thing. Like even with this video, like I should have made this like 2-3 days earlier, but I like sat there thinking, should I make it perfect? I was like, no, doesn't matter, it doesn't have to be perfect, let me just press record and just do it. And yeah, I think that's the best way to approach it. So hopefully you guys will, you know, have a good approach to that stuff. Let me know if this video is even helpful, or if I just like yapped for like 8 minutes 17 seconds for like no goddamn reason. And if I did, I mean, thanks for sticking around. Maybe, you know, I don't know, do the typical YouTube stuff, like subscribe, like, comment, all that stuff. But yeah, if you have anything that you think you want me to yap about, like leave that shit in the comments. And if not, I'll see you in the next one. Bye.